Coming up on the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast, a special town hall edition from Parkview Field in downtown Fort Wayne. Mayor Tom Henry talks about downtown momentum, a spotlight on the growth of Sweetwater and Fort Wayne metals. We talk to a rising star winemaker. Northeast Indiana continues the push to 1 million. A look at Parkview Field's history and future. And a panel of well-known Fort Wayne media personalities weighs in on Northeast Indiana's biggest stories. Welcome to the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast. I'm Andy Ober. Fort Wayne Mayor Tom Henry was perhaps the strongest voice behind the idea of Parkview Field ahead of its opening in 2009. Although there were plenty of critics of the Harrison Square project, most agree that it has helped attract new investment and bring more people downtown. Mayor Henry joined Inside Indiana Business host Gary Dick on set at Parkview Field to talk about downtown momentum and what's next.
This park is beautiful, and it'll be 10 years, I guess, next year, right. Celebrating that milestone. How important has this been to revitalization?
Well, unquestionably, it's served as a real catalyst for additional development downtown. When people began to experience the success of Parkview Field and the Harrison, which is the apartments and mixed use behind us, and the parking garage, and how it was a facility that actually served a lot of other establishments besides just Parkview Field, the new Marriott Hotel, all of that was part of its complex. And as a result of the success, more and more people began to develop downtown, and we established more and more public-private partnerships, which I think that's where it's at.
10 plus years ago, not everyone was buying in.
No.
Thought this was a good
not
idea.
at all.
Talk about that and the naysayers and how you overcame
originally, about 70% of the population was very skeptical. Some of them a little harsher than others as far as their feelings. But the mayor at that time, Graham Richard, and the city council hung tough with their commitment to do something like this downtown. Our original downtown blueprint did call for a baseball stadium or a multi-use facility downtown. And it was looked at several times over the years. Finally, the commitment was made to do this, and it was not real well received by the community initially. But since that time, a lot of the people who were originally naysayers have now come back and said it was a good investment.
Well, let's talk about the additional development that has been sparked in downtown Fort Wayne. Right. There's a vibrancy here in this downtown area. The Ash Brokerage Plaza, the Ruth Chris will be coming in in a number of months. Talk about some of that additional development.
Well, again, I think because our downtown now has become more and more a point of destination for people, we are getting 2 more hotels built downtown. They'll be breaking ground this spring. As you mentioned, the Skyline Tower will be finished right across the street from here, a Cityscape Flats, which is a complex of apartments and lofts. We're going to have another condominium development being built by the same owner of the Ash building. Our landing, which is our gathering place for a lot of young people, that's going to be expanded and renovated. Our riverfront project, which was an initiative when we broke ground this fall, that'll be picked back up again after the winter months. So we have a lot of activity downtown, and because my feeling is, and I think that my administration has thought all along, that a vibrant, thriving downtown, an exciting downtown, can contribute immensely to economic development, to make a city worthwhile as far as visiting.
And a unique development, a boutique hotel,
yes.
$30 million or so investment, just announced a few weeks ago.
It's going to be a few blocks south of the Parkview Field, and the whole idea there is we do have a number of executives that come in and visit our city. A lot of celebrities come in and visit our city because of the various amenities that we have. And they want a hotel that's kind of a step up. So Barbara Backard, one of the original owners of Vera Bradley, partnered with Providence Hotels out of the West Coast. They've come in and they're going to build a 125-room, high-class hotel.
Mayor, as you look to the future, you talked about riverfront development.
Correct.
Also talked about a downtown event center, an arena that you've put on hold, but you say that still may happen.
I think the event center is in the future. Right now, we through a lot at our citizen base very quickly. As I mentioned, with the hotels and the restaurants and other types of mixed-use development. and we asked them to absorb all of this rather quickly. So when we approached them with an event center, which would serve not only as an expansion to our convention center and it would be a facility for music offerings, for sports offerings, and so on, it was a $100 million project. So we were going to be asking quite a bit from our citizens as far as being able to accept another large initiative. They were rather skeptical, again, not unlike Parkview Field, but we felt maybe what we should do is put that on the back burner, let some of these other initiatives mature, be completed, and then bring it back.
All right, Fort Wayne Mayor Tom Henry, about 6 projects to break ground, I think, in the spring. A lot going on in downtown Fort Wayne and the area as well. Mayor, as always, thanks very much.
Thank you, Gary.
Still to come, Fort Wayne Metals talks about a $50 million expansion, and a small-town winery is seeing big success. But first, in 1979, Chuck Surak combined a love of music with his entrepreneurial talents and founded Sweetwater Sound, a 4-track recording studio in the back of his VW bus. Today, Sweetwater is one of the most respected names in the industry and a top online retailer of musical instruments and pro audio gear. Surak joined Inside Indiana Business to share his story.
Your story truly is an amazing one. Let's go back quickly to 1979, a VW bus, right? That literally was the founding spot for Sweetwater.
It was. I was on the road as a musician. I play saxophone and keyboards, and I had my parents hand me down beat-up VW bus, and I came home and started a recording studio. And I'd pull the bus alongside the church or the school or the nightclub, and I'd run 100 feet, 200 feet of microphone cables in and mic up the band or choir and record them. And what really changed my business in 1984, I got to see a brand new music instrument called the Kurzweil K250. And the Kurzweil K250 was the first synthesizer that played back digital recordings of other instruments. And I thought, how cool is that? In my studio, I could make other sounds besides just the musicians that came in. And so I bought one of those early on, and I reverse engineered it, figured out how it worked, and I became friends with other Kurzweil owners. And those were people like Stevie Wonder and Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton, all these old artists. And my business changed from being just a recording studio to actually selling gear to my friends.
Yeah. Talk about your model and how you have grown. You've really created a successful niche in the business.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. Our model is based on having real relationships with our customers, our end users, and we fit really neatly between Amazon and a traditional local music store, and that each one of our sales engineers can really help you with your equipment. And as the music equipment is getting more sophisticated and difficult, you really need that hand holding. And so we fit neatly in there, and we've had just tremendous growth by having that one-on-one relationship with our end users.
Let's talk about the Sweetwater campus, really a sprawling campus. You have grown. You moved in with 40,000 square feet. You're now up over 400,000, is that correct?
It is pretty amazing. 2006, we needed a new building. We had grown out of our small 50,000 square foot warehouse that we had, and we moved into a 40,000, and we started adding on right away. And we have 160 acres on the west side of Fort Wayne today, and about 400,000 square feet of space, and we're going to add more even in the next couple of years.
Talk about some of the features on your campus.
Sure. We wanted to make it conducive for our customers and our guests first, but also we wanted to make it nice for our employees. More than half of our employees we've relocated to Fort Wayne from all around the country, and so we needed the kind of amenities that they would come and enjoy. I hear regularly that it's like Google. I haven't been to Google myself, but everything from a video library, you can check videos out. We have an amazing cafeteria. I hate to even call it a cafeteria. Right. It's really like country club food. We have a slide that goes from the second floor down to the first floor, and it just goes on and on. Pool table, ping pong table, things that our employees can use, things that our guests can use. It's just a nice environment to be in, and we make it open and available to the community.
Yeah, you continue to grow. You announced a big expansion, I think, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, in 2006, we moved in with 200 employees, and today we're just under 1,300 employees.
Wow.
And I'm so proud that we're able to help so many people in our community and be able to give back so much in the community.
You talk about community in Fort Wayne and so much going on, in particular in downtown. How does that has that impacted your business?
5 years ago, I had no employees living downtown. Today, I have more than 55, and more want to live downtown. There just aren't spaces available right now.
You and your wife, Lisa, are philanthropists in the community, have given so much financially, time-wise, and otherwise. You are very actively involved in a lot that's happening in Fort Wayne. Why is that important to you and your wife both?
Well, we've been incredibly blessed, and we know we can't take it with us, and we know we want to set an example. We want to be leaders in the community, encourage others, and we've been very humbled to see lots of other great people that are coming along the same way.
All right, Chuck Surak, Sweetwater, thanks for joining us. Congratulations on your success. Look forward to having you on again in the future. future.
Thank you, Gary. I appreciate it.
All righty.
Later in the podcast, we spotlight a Northeast Indiana winery and ongoing efforts to bring more people and businesses to Northeast Indiana. But now, the materials made by Fort Wayne Metals often end up in life-saving medical devices. Since launching in the early 70s, the company says it has put a heavy focus on research and innovation. It seems to be paying off, as the company says growing global demand has led to a $50 million expansion and plans for more than 300 new jobs. CEO Scott Glaze discusses the growth.
Again, another successful Fort Wayne story that we're happy to profile. Your dad founded the company essentially in the early 70s, right?
Yes. He was a research scientist during World War II and had been in medical school at the University of Chicago in the 30s, and he had a love for medicine. So in 1970, he founded Fort Wayne Metals Research Products Corporation, which today employs over 1,000 people.
Wow.
Probably 90 to 95% of our products go into the medical device industry.
Yeah. Some 40 years of year-over-year growth. An impressive string of numbers there. What's really been fueling this?
A lot of it is the long-term focus on just satisfying our customers, helping them develop new products, developing our own material expertise to be able to support all of the new developments, like minimally invasive surgery. We had to improve the consistency of some of the stainless steel materials, but also develop nickel titanium alloys that enable the surgeons to move through blood vessels or through the stomach to be able to operate in areas that they never could before.
Got a major campus here in Fort Wayne, your home, your headquarters, major manufacturing operation in Ireland. You have other manufacturing operations. Talk about the Fort Wayne Metals footprint.
Well, we started out with just a very small footprint in the mid 70s in near Bearfield Airport, and we've just added buildings and property since then. We now have a 70-acre campus with several other outbuildings. We have over 700,000 feet under roof that supports our operations. Most of our employees are in the Fort Wayne area. We have a melt facility just down the road from Steel Dynamics in Columbia City. We make a few less pounds than they do, but we get a little bit more per pound for the materials that we make.
Yeah. How has the focus on downtown development and growth and investment in the downtown impacted your business?
We think it's critical for us. We're constantly trying to attract talent. We hired 400 people in the last 5 years to add to our ranks, and we need a community that is attractive to people, both to retain employees in this area, but also to attract people from outside the area. And as Fort Wayne grows and becomes more dynamic, it makes our job easier to attract talent.
Yeah, looking forward. You recently announced a major investment, $50 million here in Allen County, with plans over the next number of years to add 330 additional jobs.
Yes. And that's just our typical growth, actually. We have several new projects, new products. Most of them are in the medical device industry, but there's some that are aerospace, other commercial applications that we're seeing a lot of growth and a lot of demand for. So we're just building up the production facilities to be able to satisfy that need.
All right, Scott Glaze is the CEO of Fort Wayne Metals. Scott, thanks very much. Congrats on your success. We look forward to following the story.
Thank you.
All right.
You can catch Inside Indiana Business Television on stations throughout the state every weekend. Head to InsideIndianaBusiness.com to check listings. Still to come, a regional approach to adding people and businesses, and the Tin Caps talk about their Fort Wayne success. But first, Roanoke, a town in Huntington County, is home to a little more than 1,700 residents, as well as an award-winning fine dining restaurant. 2E's Winery offers what it calls farm-to-fork experiences, along with a retail store and country inn. The leaders behind 2E's, Pete Eshelman, Joseph Dupuis, and Eric Harris, joined IIB to showcase the winery.
Pete, I'm going to start with you. Joseph Dupuis, you're getting national and international recognition. You were drafted by the Yankees, right? You were a baseball player, actually worked in the Yankees front office. How do you go from baseball to the restaurant business?
Well, I graduated from college, drafted by the Yankees, tore my rotator cuff. And then the owner at the time, George Steinbrenner, gave me a job in the front office. And he was the first owner to insure guaranteed contracts. So I took that idea, turned it into a business. Lincoln National recruited me to come here and bring sports to their company. Didn't like working for a big company, set up my own business, and 30 years later, sports insurance.
Talk about Joseph DeQuee. Many people around the state know this Farm to Fork restaurant has created quite a brand. Give us a description of the restaurant.
Well, it's fine dining but fun. And the distinction we have is that we have a farm 6 miles away where we raise most of the food for the restaurant.
And very important, you focusing on Farm to Fork. That's a very important piece of it, right?
Well, I think it's very important because if you're going to have a fine dining restaurant, and our goal was to have one of the finest fine dining restaurants in America when we started, you have to have great ingredients. And the best ingredients are ingredients you raise yourself or you source locally. Pretty simple.
All right, Roanoke is getting quite a reputation as a culinary destination. And Eric, as you look getting into the wine business, 2013, so 4 years ago or so, talk about growth at 2E's Winery.
Well, in our first year, we produced a little under 15,000 gallons, sold through more than half of it. And this year, we're on track to do more than 40,000 gallons. It's been quite a leap.
What's been fueling that growth? What's really been driving it?
Well, you know, I can't sit here and say that it's only one thing. I mean, we work really hard on everything that we do, and we take our customers' feedback into consideration with every change or modification or new wine that we produce. And so I'd say it's just a focus on quality and bringing people what they ask for.
Yeah. Pete, as you look at Roanoke and talk about the evolution, I guess, of a small community, perhaps down on its luck, maybe at one point changed dramatically with this culinary flavor that's really evident there.
Well, we moved to Roanoke, almost 25 years ago, and we bought a building for our insurance company, and we could afford it, and the town was really in decline. But as the insurance company grew, we bought more buildings, and kind of were a catalyst to fix up the town. And then the fine dining restaurant was really a private dining room for sports entertainment clients. And then in 2000, that turned into, we opened it for the public.
Yeah.
And what's kind of cool though, the insurance company created the money, the wherewithal to fix up the town. But the restaurant and what 2E's is doing is really the draw, turning that little town into a destination town.
Yeah, and Eric, I know wine is your focus, but you're also getting into the, in a sense, the entertainment business because you've got an amphitheater, right?
Well, you know, when we started the winery, we thought that people would come in, sample wine, and leave with a couple bottles. And what we found was it's a setting that they really enjoy. They want to stick around and enjoy a glass of wine, maybe two. And people, you know, the concept of wine, food, and music has always been a popular one. So we started having live bands out, and it's gotten to a point where on our weekends, we call them weekends on court, Friday and Saturday evenings throughout the spring, summer, and fall, we'll have as many as 600-700 people enjoying wine, music, and food trucks out on our patio.
Yeah, and I should mention, Eric, and this is significant, 2E's voted in USA Today as the best tasting room in the USA, right?
Yeah, you know, it's not something that we were going after, but it just kind of fell on us. We were nominated among 20 other wineries. A majority of them were West Coast wineries, a couple New York Finger Lakes wineries, and then little old us in Huntington County. And it turned out that we ended up winning. And I think a lot of that has to do with offering a unique product, a unique experience, and really just focusing on excellence, something I learned from this guy.
Well, culinary tourism is a big focus of the state of Indiana. No better example than in Roanoke. Pete Eshelman, the CEO of Joseph DeQuee, also Eric Harris, the head winemaker and owner at 2E's. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Yep,
All
it's
right.
fun.
Later on, the Tin Caps talk about their downtown home, and some familiar faces join our Insiders panel. But now, more than 700,000 people call Northeast Indiana home, and Chief Executive recently ranked the region 5th in the nation for doing business. The Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership, covering 11 counties, is looking to build on that momentum and bring more business investment to the area. CEO John Sampson joined IIB to talk about the partnership's efforts, which include Vision 2020, Emerging Leaders Alliance, and the Big Goal Collaborative.
Regional cooperation, as I said, every region in the state has talked about it for a long time. Some don't do it very well. Why is it working in Northeast Indiana?
It's a difference maker for us. It matters to this region. We're not going to be Indianapolis. We're going to be the very best Fort Wayne in Northeast Indiana that we can be, and we have to be together. We have to have a common vision of where we're going. We can't have competitive resources. We have to have a common interest. Everybody in this room knows we're going to the same place, this long-term vision of where we're going to go. It's not about always agreeing every day, but it is about the end of the day, we agree to take action and move the region together. And I think in this region in particular, we knew, if we did not get together, we wouldn't be able to compete in that global marketplace.
You talk about a region. Much of our show today is talking about activity and investment and vibrancy in downtown Fort Wayne, but you're talking 11 counties in this regional effort participating together.
That's correct, 11 counties. And we're now beneficiaries of the state's Regional Cities Initiative. We have our own Road to 1 Million plan. 10 of the 11 counties have received commitments for significant investment in their quality place assets. And we committed to the state that we would not only make significant investments in Fort Wayne, we make investments across this region to strengthen the region. We have to go together as a region, and the region believed, had faith in us that we could do that, and we pulled it off. We turned $42 million in a year's time into $255 million, 60% from the private sector.
As you look at accomplishments, and I know you can point to several over the 11 years, if there's one that you are most proud of or perhaps most noteworthy, what would it be?
So, we don't talk about this a lot, but the stemming of the tide on personal per capita income is undoubtedly, in my mind, the most powerful change that we've made. We've turned it around for the last 6 years. We've increased it at either the national rate or above. And because this region is fighting to have a competitive place to attract talent, to invest in community, raising average wage, raising personal per capita income is critical to this region's long-term success. You can't be a community that has a long-term decline in that per capita income and hope to have a successful future.
Really taking it head on. You've got about 750 million or so population in the region. You want to up that to a million?
To a million. So 789 going to a million. And the great thing about it is, in a community our size, all of the partners that have a means to touch the development of a young person or a professional or a skilled technician, everybody can be aligned going in the same direction. We all know that there are thousands of jobs unfilled today in our region looking for that qualified skill. And so to the extent that we're working together, from Northeast Indiana Works to K through 12 to Ivy Tech to our private institutions of higher ed, all of those institutions lined up heading the same direction because they know when somebody graduates with a certified skill or a 2-year 4-year degree, they need to go to work. They need to be contributing to society, providing for their families, their professional development, all the things that are important to us personally. Rests on the ability to go to work and provide and give back to an organization or to a company.
The old GE campus here, major investment, a lot of private sector money, but we'll take some public sector buy-in as well. Are those important to that talent equation, to keeping people here, but also attracting people?
We're sitting in arguably the very best minor league ballpark in the country. And that is a public-private partnership that allowed that to happen. And all the private sector investment that occurred around that. We are a test case for invest, invest, invest. Invest in your community, invest the talent. And what follows that is the assurance that private sector revenue is going to follow that and make their own equal or better investment. GE Works and the work that GFW is doing to launch that project, it is a bold and difficult project. A large number of people in the community had given up that this will be just a fenced-off area someday. Now, it has a chance of having life.
All right, John Sampson with the Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership. John, as always, thank you for all you do, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you.
Still to come, a group of Fort Wayne media personalities takes a look at what's going on in Northeast Indiana. But first, the Fort Wayne Tin Caps moved into Parkview Field, their downtown stadium home, in 2009. It's continuously ranked among the top ballparks in all of minor league baseball and is credited with attracting businesses and residents downtown. Tin Caps president Mike Nutter and special events manager Holly Rainey talked about the road to get the stadium built, as well as its success with non-baseball events.
This really is, in particular for a minor league ball club, an incredible facility.
It really is. You know, we're blessed to be able to call this our place of work for us. And so 5 of the last 6 years by a national publication, it's been named as the top one. And it's a lot more than just baseball. As you said, the introduction, many non-baseball events. And I think when the dialogue was going on of should we do this downtown, should we build it, people viewed that it was going to be a baseball park used 70 nights a year, and that was the extent of it. And it's been so much more on a charitable side and open every day of the year as a walking and running track, a lot more to it than baseball.
The whole idea of a ballpark was being talked about and been talked about for a long time, but in really moving this forward, not everyone was on board. There was a lot of pushback, a lot of resistance.
We answered everything we could honestly and told them it's going to be more than that. And then we got to take some community leaders to Greenville and Greensboro and Chattanooga and some of these great cities that were doing it the way we wanted to do it. And folks were coming back saying, wow, I had no idea. And we just kept telling them what we've seen work in Indianapolis and Toledo and other cities around the Midwest, we think will work here. And here we are getting ready to start season number 10 in 2018, and it's worked.
Yeah, but in terms of the non-baseball events, and I wrote down the number, 700 plus events this year, non-baseball.
Correct.
Talk about those events.
Yeah, so anytime you get a space, Parkview Field, you can come to.
Always selling, right? Always be closing.
Selling.
Okay.
So we do a lot of class reunions, company parties, business meetings, non-for-profit walks, batting cage use in the winter months.
And concerts.
Concerts,
Concerts
yes.
downtown. Talk about that, and again, how that fits into the whole puzzle, if you will, of downtown, the vibrancy and activity downtown.
Sure. Well, you can get 13,000 people on the field or in the ballpark for a concert. So that's a large number of people coming in and enjoying and seeing more than baseball. So we get people that come through here that maybe wouldn't be here for baseball.
Mike, you talked about Fort Wayne folks going to Chattanooga and Greenville and those places. Now you've got other cities actually coming here to look at how things happen in Fort Wayne.
There was somebody a couple years ago, a southeast city, that said, we're about to put $15 million into our existing ballpark, and we went on a visit in North Carolina, and they said, don't spend a penny till you get to see what they did up at Parkview Field in Fort Wayne. Somebody was out last week from Idaho checking it out. They're trying to determine, do they want to make the leap that we did 10 plus years ago? And so a lot of people are using this as a test market.
Holly, in terms of how many people you're attracting, you're bringing in here from non-baseball events.
Yeah, this past July we just hit our 1,000,000th mark. So 1 million people came through our gates for a non-baseball event.
Wow. And how does that, Mike, as we kind of wrap up here, how does that fit into the kind of the bigger quality of life, quality of place picture?
I think it's huge because it's not just, this is the neighborhood and the region and the city's ballpark, and so they're not big cinder block walls that you can't get in. Come in anytime.
Yeah.
And so young college kids, when they're getting out, there's a lot of great places they can go, but they want to go somewhere cool. And recently, I didn't even know what it meant, but we were named like a top 10 city for the hipsters. You know, somebody sent it to me, I said, I got to Google it and figure out what it means, whether it's a good thing. But the point is, they're thinking it's a cool place to come back to because the cost of living here is great, and now the quality of place is up and continues to improve.
All right, very good. Mike Nutter and Holly Rainey from the Fort Wayne Tin Caps. Thanks for being hipsters here and welcoming us to the ballpark. You've been great hosts. Congratulations on the success. Look forward to that 10-year celebration next year, too.
Thank you very much.
And finally this week, a special edition of The Insiders made up of Fort Wayne media personalities and journalists plugged into the happenings in Fort Wayne and Northeast Indiana. This week's panel includes WOWO Radio's Fort Wayne's Morning News host Charlie Butcher, WPTA-TV former anchor Melissa Long, and general reporter Jeff Newmeyer.
Melissa, I'll start with you. As you look at Fort Wayne and Northeast Indiana, a lot of change, not only in downtown, but in the region as well. What's your big takeaway as you look at things happening here in Fort Wayne and Northeast Indiana?
I think the thing that has impressed me the most is the passion of the people, the business community, and the people whose job it is to grow the economy and innovate. They have such a great passion for Fort Wayne. I'm a Fort Wayne native. Many of them are not. It's just wonderful to see the commitment and dedication and the forward thinking, I think, of so many of the people whose task it is to enliven our city.
Yep. Charlie, you've been on the air in Fort Wayne at WOWO, an institution, a great radio station, since 1982.
Yeah.
So you've seen a lot, you've heard a lot
Right.
from your listeners. Your take.
Well, I think we are blessed with having the right people in the right places right now. On top of the fact that there's a lot of it's synergistic between all of those pieces that are working very hard, and we've reached, I guess, a critical mass point now. You know, the pieces are on the board, and we really could go some places from here. I mean, people think we've gone places, but where we could go from here is really pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think obviously so much is happening downtown that wasn't happening when I first got in town in the late 80s. Part of it, I think, is just society wants more. The young people want more happening downtown, and as a result, the demand is there, and I think that leaders are making sure to deliver on that demand. Right. That's a big part of it. As you can see it behind us, the skyline here, so many new buildings that weren't around here even less than 10 years ago. So we've got a ways to go yet still, but definitely headed in a good direction, I believe.
Where do you see, because as you mentioned, more to go. I think Mayor Henry said earlier, 6 projects are to break ground, I think, by next spring. The ability to digest more projects, was that a challenge or an opportunity?
Well, definitely an opportunity, and riverfront development seems to be driving so much of it. I mean, that's the one that the community is wildly bought into. There's almost no one that seems to have to be sold on that. It's already happening, and so that I think has been a catalyst for a lot of the other things. I'm not sure that the GE project would have gotten the kind of traction it has gotten had we not already seen the riverfront development project taking off with the kind of fervor that's happened.
What could the riverfront project, it's already underway, obviously several phases, what can that mean in your view to the future of Fort Wayne?
As you know, a lot of the leaders who are creating the vision for the riverfront project traveled to other places like Greenville, South Carolina, Chattanooga, Tennessee. They see what's possible, and they see what a huge impact it's had on the quality of life in those places. And so I think that they've really bought into the idea that we have these 3 rivers running through our community. Let's do something with them. And I think they've seen hard evidence that it really does bring people downtown and improves the quality of life.
All right, and we have a question, maybe 2 questions from our audience.
We are representatives from the Mayor's Youth Engagement Council of Fort Wayne, which is based around engaging the youth, and we are based around diversity. My name's Lily Hagedorn. I'm the vice president.
My name's Angela Mamani, and I'm the secretary.
And one issue we've seen with youth in Fort Wayne, and I'm sure you guys seen with just Fort Wayne in general, is the generalization of the diminishment of the South Side area.
And we were wondering, what are some innovative projects or developments, or even ideas that are going on to enhance that part of Fort Wayne or enhance the public opinion of that?
You'd like to see some housing development projects, I think, have taken off down there to try to boost the housing stock. That's been one of the good things that's happened in the South Side. The old Southtown Mall area, we've now seen a Menards store, a Walmart, some other things there to give a retail flavor to the South Side. Certainly, more needs to be done. That's an underserved part of town. I think it's pretty clear. But there has been at least some progress. Again, late 90s, we go back to that time, it was very difficult to see much of anything happening in a positive way there, and so we've begun to see some seeds.
Yeah, it was a wild, wild west, and still in a lot of ways I think that negative image persists there. There's a lot of ground south, because I work out there, there's a lot of ground, there's a lot of room to create something new there, and then you have that creation on the south side, you have all of this downtown, and hopefully the two would come together.
Let's all start with you, that missing element to continued success or momentum in Fort Wayne.
I think folks earlier on the show hit on it. We need to grow our population. We need more people to move to Fort Wayne. And the instigator for that is we have this jobs gap. I mean, we have so many jobs that go wanting in Northeast Indiana because we are heavy manufacturing. And we need to be able to prepare our youth and young adults to fill those jobs, or they'll go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I just think a vibrant population and a lot of people just seems to feed on itself. If you get a lot of people together in one room, the energy is there.
Yep.
Nature of manufacturing is changing too. This is no secret to you. If you start to look at what factories are going to look like, they're all going to be connected through the internet, and there's not going to be as many people there. But that doesn't mean there won't be more jobs, because we need to entice those people to come here with better education for the jobs, better skills, because that's where manufacturing is going. And I see that as one of the challenges. We have to recognize the face of manufacturing is going to change, and those kind of changes come really fast.
Big time. Give me the final word.
Well,
Jeff.
I think we still need more of this, more improvement down here, because the young people are going to, their appetite's not easily satisfied.
Yep.
So I think there's going to be more that we need to do on top of what's happening now to make sure that they want to live here.
Very good. Jeff Newmeyer, Melissa Long, Charlie Butcher, thanks. Melissa, before we go, people will want to know what you've been up to these last couple of years.
Relaxing and visiting my kids, taking care of my mom and my dog.
Very good. Well, thanks one and all for joining
Thank you
us
for
on
having
The Insiders.
That wraps up this week's Inside Indiana Business television podcast. Remember, you can find all of this week's TV segments, as well as the top business news from throughout the state, at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. While you're there, you can also subscribe to our platform of free e-newsletters. This is Andy Ober for Inside Indiana Business.